Hello ladies and gentlemen, Mike here and welcome back to a very special episode of Minecraft Lord of the Rings. As you guys know, I just finished up Season 2, the finale was out recently, and since that episode took so much work, I figured I would do a sort of extra bonus video with some of the outtakes, some director's commentary, and a little bit of a tutorial side to it where I show you some of the techniques I used in order to make and film certain parts of it. So without further ado, let's get started! So the opening scene here was basically shot with a combination of multi-shot for the smooth camera pathing, along with the Keygrip mod for the motion capture. So I motion captured each of these 5 characters around the table, including myself, separately, and then I replayed the conversation over and over while I filmed it and shot from different angles. These kind of conversations are actually quite complicated to film because, well, Minecraft 1.7.10 does not have a spectator mode, which means you tend to collide with objects all the time. I've tried some spectator sort of no-clip mods and they never seem to work for me for whatever reason, so it is quite complicated to shoot this stuff. It takes a lot of time, and then I added the voice work on top of that, which was a combination of myself, Chazrad and Tycho. I have to actually apologize to those guys because they filmed more, or they recorded more voice than I actually used. Now the problem was on my end. I didn't give them both sides of the conversation. I gave them their side only, which in retrospect was a mistake because they really didn't know sort of the emotional response they needed to have, and some of it didn't fit that well, so I ended up doing it myself, which was actually to the detriment of the video, the final product. So sorry guys, in the future when I do voice work, I will basically send the entire conversation over. My fault, my bad. But it actually turned out pretty well generally, and I feel like my voice work is improving overall as I go on, as I practice more, as I lose some of my sort of inhibitions. And yeah, hopefully things will get better, and hopefully other people will add their voice work to my future videos, because I'm going to have a lot more work to do in Season 3 with more Minima style stuff. Anyway, let's move on. So this training area here basically was something I built off camera, and then I motion captured all the characters inside of it separately, which was a pain in the butt, but it was very effective. You know, it looked like the men were actually doing something rather than just sort of wandering around randomly. Now, one of the problems with the Keygrip mod is that archers do not work very well, or should I say ranged weapons. So NPCs cannot equip ranged weapons and use them, which is kind of a pain in the butt. So all the archers there you see are actually me, and that's why I sort of had the camera like that where they were facing away from me so that you couldn't see their faces, because you would have seen a bunch of pictures of me. Anyway, it did look very effective, and that was what I did. I actually used this multiple times within the video itself, within the episode, and it was a lot of work, but it turned out to be fairly effective. Some people have mentioned in the comments having problems with the Keygrip mod, specifically for use with NPCs in the Lord of the Rings mod. And let me show you a very quick technique because some of them having problems using weapons. So I'll show you something very quickly for those of you who are familiar with this mod. I've created a test scene with a test recording here, and I've chosen a Blackroot Soldier. Now let me give you sort of an example of the problem and how to fix it. So if I have a sword equipped, for example, and I start doing some recording here, I will press F8 and start recording. So if I record around and I'm swinging my sword and doing stuff, we'll just take a look very quickly. Alright, so I'll stop my recording, and then I will play it back, and I want you to take a look what happened. Yeah, my guy does not have his weapon equipped, he's just sort of walking around swinging his arm. So that is a problem if you are using an NPC. So let me show you how to fix that, actually. We're going to go and we're going to keep our weapon unequipped. So I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to reset this very quickly. Go back to the first frame, and we will start recording again. But this time, after I've started recording, I will equip my weapon and start swinging. And we'll see the difference in a sec here. So we'll swing around a little bit, do some jumping, some swinging. All right, now let's take a look at what we have. He starts off with no weapon, then suddenly he equips his weapon and his shield, and he can use it normally. So that is basically the trick. If you want NPCs to have weapons equipped, you're going to have to equip them after you start the motion capture. Just a little trick there for people who, you know, don't know how to do that. Now let me show you one other thing very quickly. We're going to go back here, we're going to reset this again. Now if you want to use, I'm going to unequip my weapon, and I'm going to start recording. This time I'm going to use a bow. So I got my, oops, I'm not gonna save a screenshot. Well, I guess I am, actually. All right, so we're gonna equip our bow here, and we are going to, in fact, try shooting. Let me do this. Let me go over here. So I'll try shooting a few arrows here, and let's see what happens. All right, press F8 again. We're gonna go back and take a look at what we got. Here's our guy standing there. Well, I just realized that I recorded a screenshot instead of pressing 2 to equip my weapon. All right, I got my bow out. All right, so I'm wandering around. Yeah, I don't really seem to be doing a whole lot, do I? That is because the NPCs cannot shoot ranged weapons. Now, I did talk about that before, but that really is a problem. So what you're gonna have to do if you want this to work, and really the only way around it that I know of, is to go back here. We're gonna reset this very quickly. And we're gonna go into the test here. The only way to do it is to set him as a player character. Did I just miss that there somewhere? There are a lot, okay, player. So if I set myself as the entity player, then I'm fine. I can use weapons, no problem. Oh, I will show you something else while I'm doing that. See, it says the player name, if any. Now, what I can do is I can type in Chazrad. Boom. Now, we will go back here, and I will get out my weapon. I will press F8 to start recording. Now, you'll notice that if I'm using the player character, I don't need to worry about equipping my weapon after the fact. That really only applies to NPCs. Well, I'm going to take a few shots here. Damn, I'm a good shot. All right, well, technically Chazrad's a good shot. Because there he is. Hey, Chaz. How you doing, buddy? Let me shoot you. Oh. And you can see, I can't really do anything to them. They do not respond to me. Anyway, that's really how it works. I wanted to show you a couple of quick techniques as far as using the Keygrip mod for the YouTubers out there who are having a problem with Lord of the Rings. Run, dwarves, run! This scene on the bridge was actually my favorite part of the episode. I filmed it very early on, and it was a lot of work. It was much, much more difficult than it probably looked on camera. And, you know, the side effect of that is that I have a lot of very funny bloopers. So I'm going to show you a few of those now. And hopefully you can either learn from me or, you know, laugh at me, or a combination of both. Because, let's be honest, it was a lot of fun, but a lot of frustration. A lot. So the first thing I basically did was just to try and light off. I buried a few mines or a few bombs under there, and I tried to light them off and test what the explosive result would be, and it generally looked pretty good. So I tried a bunch of these actually. Some of them failed, some of them were okay, and then I moved on to what I did was I basically motion captured a ton of Mordor army guys, and the units, I had them running across the bridge, and I figured that I'd be able to have them run across the bridge, motion captured, and set off the bombs, and they would just explode and die. But as you're about to see, that did not happen. Yeah, motion capture Keygrip mod, not great for doing that kind of stuff because the guys did not respond to gravity and they just kept running across. So we had our first major failure. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna hire some troops and I'll have them follow me, basically chase behind me, and I will see how that works. I'll try and, okay, that failed right there as well. What I'm basically testing here is to see how effective the explosion will be at killing all of them at once, because I really wanted to take out all of them at once. That was sort of one of my stipulations. So I basically have my guys here. I cheated up my alignment so I could hire some Mordor troops, and yep, that was pretty effective. One guy survived, I think. All right, so moving on. Basically what I did is I slowed down my tick rate, and I tried all my guys, the Mordor army behind me, and I tried to set off my bombs while I fell in the hole. Very, very bad. Shot out of it like a cannon. We got a nice bird's eye view there, but not very realistic as far as survivability anyway. All right, so yeah, that failed. Let's try again. Basically, I'm still in the testing phase here, and I just fell in the hole again, and now I'm shot straight up into the air. A much more effective explosion. I think I killed everyone there, but again, not very realistic. I would definitely be dead. All right, so we're gonna try again here, still in the testing phases. And the problem is, oh God. One of the problems is, as you can see here, is the guys will teleport sometimes and survive, which I really did not want to happen. So, moving on, keep on testing. Slow motion. Now we're going to try and jump. Oh, some guys teleported there at the wrong time as well. And I'm kind of thinking maybe, maybe it's my armor. Maybe I'm moving too slowly and I want to switch up to the scouting armor so I can move faster. Wow, I took a long time to come down there. All right, so let's try this again. I'm gonna make my jump. I'm in my scouting armor, and this one also effective, but again, I'm flying way too high in the air. That is not good. It's funny, but it's not good. Also, I'm taking a long time to come down, and some of those guys survived, which I did not want. All right, we're gonna keep on trying. Man, a lot of takes, and you're seeing about 1/10 of the amount of actual takes there were, because I deleted a lot of them immediately. Now that looked kind of cool, and they pretty much all died, but I screwed up the landing there. That's another thing. The explosions tend to push you in a certain direction, and it's hard to always predict which direction we're going to go, and sometimes my army gets ahead of me, which ruins the shot. Also not effective. Got my jump there. Oh, can we do it? Oh god. That was pretty effective, but a couple of guys survived as well and ruined my shot. Angry. Getting very angry. All right, round whatever, 10 maybe, or 15, or 20, or 100. Got my jump down, looking good. Oh! And a bunch of other guys teleported, and the bridge exploded from under me, which is also not very realistic. So as you can see, I had a ton of bloopers. Some of them funny, some of them just kind of stupid, but eventually I did get a shot that I was basically happy with anyway. This one looks really cool. But again, I'm like flying through the air, which is not very realistic, and I had to adjust the camera angle, which looked kind of stupid as well. So yeah, that's basically it for the bloopers, but I had a lot of these kind of shots, and this small scene here took forever to film. It really did. I mean, it was like 5 or 6 hours probably, or more, to film just that one, 10-second scene. So I hope you guys appreciate how much work I went to, and we're gonna move on. A bunch of people actually commented on this while they were watching the episode and said, how did you get your troops like that? Like, how are they so well aligned? How did everything look so perfect? Well, I'll show you kind of how I did. Now, first of all, my original plan was to have about 1 million troops and have a really, really large battle, but it quickly became apparent that was not going to work. Now, I did some experimentation, as you can see here, with quite a large number of troops. And it's really they just sort of ball up into this huge ball of troops. It doesn't look that good. It's really hard to tell how many there are, and they tend to get stuck and all kinds of stuff happens, weird stuff. They move around incorrectly. It just turned into a giant mess. Now, I will tell you how I did how I got the troops aligned. I did it in MC Edit, and I'll show you in a minute how I did that. But you can see some really funny sort of side effects here as to how the troops follow you and stuff, and it just didn't work out how I wanted to. When they were standing still, they looked great. When they were walking around, they did not look so great. You kind of see they have this, it looks like a giant bug. Actually, when you look down at the top view here, it looks like a giant bug that's sort of dropping crap along the road. Yeah, not a good effect. And so I eventually sort of scaled down my army. I moved away from that huge amount of troops that I had because A, the frame rate was really bad. B, the troops sort of lose command after a while. Once they get out of a certain range, you lose command of them, and I didn't want them to teleport generally because it looked really unrealistic to have troops teleporting all over the place. So on these troops, I set the teleport flag to 0, but it did mean that they, did not always work well. Now look at that bug there. It looks very cool, but not, in a battle situation. It definitely did not look cool. Looks like a giant bug that's taken a dump, and then it's eating its own poo as it comes back around. That's basically the effect that it has, and I was not going for that effect at all. I have loaded up one of my old saves here where my Gondorian army was still intact, and I'm going to show you the technique I used to create this. Now, it's not necessarily recommended for normal gameplay. This is mostly for video making and stuff like that because there are some significant disadvantages and problems with using this technique, and I'll show you one of them right off the bat. So this guy here is Malvagil This guy is also Malvagil. This guy is also Malvagil. Yeah, they're just clones of each other. So it's not necessarily a good thing when you have a million clones of the same guy. I'm not sure how that will affect the Lord of the Rings mod as you play. I really don't know, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it sure does look cool when you create them. And now, of course, it's raining. Anyway, we are going to head into MC Edit here, and I'll show you what I did. Alright, so here we are in MC Edit. We're facing the bridge where all my troops are stationed. My base is behind me here. It looks a little screwy, but that's normal for MC Edit. So let's go a little closer here. And if you take a look at where the troops were, you'll notice all these little red boxes. Each one of those red boxes represents an entity. And that's what we want to basically clone or copy and paste. So what we can do is we can actually select the box that contains an entity. I'm not going to screw this up, hopefully. There we go. All right, so we have a box selected here, which contains an entity. At least that's what I'm hoping anyway. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to copy that. Now you'll notice over here, this thing in the top left corner, it is my copy. And it contains a little red box, which means it contains an entity. Now what I can actually do is I can click on this here, right here. It says click to import this item. I click on that, and I have myself a clone of that entity that I can now place into the world. So we're going to do that with a couple of them. I can hit import here. I can click again. I can hit import. I'll just keep placing a bunch of these guys into the world. And that allows me to get a ton of troops. It also means that their rotation, orientation, everything about that troop is cloned. So they'll all be in the same position. And it actually makes the army look quite a bit better. So we're going to keep doing this. I'm going to do a bunch of them here. And then when we're done, we'll go back into the Minecraft world and see what has happened. Do a few more. Get myself down here. Boom. Oops. Gotta remember to import each time. Import. Import. Alright, that should be enough. I've done, how many troops have I done here? Well, let's do one more right here since I forgot one here. So that should give me another, basically, 9 troops. It also says 9 unsaved edits. Hit Control S to save, so we will do that. It will now save everything, and we'll head back out and we'll check what happened in the real world. Be right back. And we are back in Minecraft, so check out my new troops. I have 9 more troops here that are now, more clones of Malvagil. Yep, all the same guy. But it is a very effective technique, and it's actually not that time consuming once you get used to it, once you can do it, fairly quickly. You can do it with a bunch of different kinds of troops. You can also, what I did was I cloned maybe, say for example, you have these 6 troops here. I would clone 6 guys, and then I would do a selection of those 6 guys, and I would clone them 6 at a time rather than 1 at a time. So you can create quite large armies by doing that. You can also create mixed unit squadrons such as the banner bearers and, the soldier tower guards, stuff like that. You can create mixed unit squadrons and clone entire battlefields that way. The only problem is your FPS goes down significantly. Anyway, a cool technique, something to try. The scene with Nellis and I, where we were watching the sunset together, is also one of my favorite scenes. It's something I spent quite a bit of time getting right, and I did it because I felt it was necessary to have sort of a moment of quiet reflection before everything went bad. I wanted to say goodbye to Nellis, and actually I recorded quite a few takes of this scene, and when I listened to the one that I ultimately used, the one you guys saw, it really sounded like I was talking to the audience as well as Nellis. And Chazrad actually mentioned that in one of the other episodes we did together. And yeah, it worked out really well. I didn't plan that, but ultimately it sounded like I was talking to not only Nellis, but also the viewers out there, all you guys. And that was a very special feeling to me, and that's why I ultimately ended up using that one. I wanted to say thank you to everyone in sort of a roundabout way. Come on, girl, we gotta do this. We gotta defend our base. Alright, so there's one other thing I wanted to show you very quickly, and first off, excuse the frame rate, it's a little low. I actually had spawners set up in the ground below to spawn both Gondorian troops and Mordor troops as well to keep the battle raging while I was doing certain things, and I had to do a lot of reshooting and stuff like that. So I wanted to sort of to not have to be respawning troops in all the time, so I basically had that. So yeah, the frame rate is a little low, excuse me. Anyway, you'll notice that certain times during the video, I triggered certain things like explosions and stuff like that, and they were triggered automatically and they were set up using command blocks, and I'll show you very quickly the technique. A lot of people already know this, I'll just show it to you for those people who don't. So over here, I have a few clocks set up. These are basically simple repeating clocks, and what they're doing is they are testing for a certain location. So when I reach this exact coordinate location here, it will trigger the command block over here, which is to summon some prime TNT. Now, I couldn't actually summon the Auric bombs for whatever reason. If someone knows how to do that, the command for it, let me know. I did not have any success doing that. But what it does basically is it allows me to go to a certain location during the battle, and it doesn't necessarily look like I'm doing anything weird. But for example, if I step back here, you should, if it works, and it doesn't always work, see the wall blow up here. Come on, blow up for me, man. You are not blowing up. There we go. All right, well, there we go. It was a little bit delayed, but it did work. And yeah, you can see my tick rate's already slowing down here because there's a lot of stuff going on. And that was a huge problem that I had during the battle, that a ton of stuff happened. And I'd have to keep resetting the game because the tick rate would slow down. There would too many guys would spawn in or whatever. I also had it set up, the back wall over here, I had it set up so that when I got up here, the back wall would blow. And that's basically, I see that? There you go. That's how it works. So these command block repeaters are actually very useful for stuff like that. If you want to spawn stuff in, or you want certain events to happen during gameplay, or maybe while you're live streaming or something, it's very useful for YouTubers. Anyway, we are heading back in. How are they getting in there? Oh no, they've blown a hole in the wall. They're going to be coming in the back. Keep shooting. We need reinforcements. Where is the Gondorian army gone? Ellis, let's go. They're blowing the base. Let's get out of here. They're so... Ah! Oh God, let's go. Run. Let's go, Nellis. We gotta get out of here, okay? There are way too many Aurics outside. Let's go. Oh God, they're blowing the base. Let's go. Ellis, we are out of here. They're way... Whoa, what is fucking Gollum doing here? I hate you. Oh, you idiot. Get over here. Ellis, kill Gollum. Yes, kill him. Where is he? How are you not... What is happening? All right, Nellis. Nellis, let's get out of here. We are leaving. There are way too many Aurics. Very briefly before I go, let me talk about this sort of final confrontation with the captain part here. Now, again, this was all motion captured using the Keygrip mod. I then filmed it, you know, over and over and over again from different camera angles, and I added the voices in after the fact and basically put the scene together in separate cuts. Again, a lot of work and some very precise timing was necessary to get everything to work well and to get the scene to look sort of realistic. Nellis and the guys at the top, I originally motion captured them, but I had a lot of problems. Again, they don't respond to explosions or stuff like that in the world. So I actually had to have Nellis up there sort of frozen in halted state and then try to blow her up. And it was really, really difficult. I unfortunately don't have any bloopers for that part because I was really, really frustrated by this point. So I kept deleting stuff and just trying to get it done. So that's really what happened. Again, the final explosion where Nellis died was not exactly to my liking 100%, but it was the best of about 1,000,000 takes. So really, you know, you guys got what you got. I tried my best. Honestly, I did. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this making of video. It was something a little bit special for me. Again, this final episode was something very special, something that I spent a really long time working on. So I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope you like this making video, and I hope you stay tuned to the channel and tell your friends that season 3 is coming. I'm working very hard on it. Again, it's progressing fairly slow because I'm very, very busy with my personal life. But, you know, I'm trying as quickly as possible, and I should have a teaser trailer out soon. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this episode, guys. To be continued.